podcast for heroes in the world of Overwatch. This is The Payload.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 22 of The Payload. I am John Horstman, centered in Denver, Colorado, and we've got the crew with us first from Ventura, California. It's Jimmy Bloxham. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, how's it going? Good to have you back.
It's going really well, man. It's good to be back. I've missed being here on the show with you guys. It's definitely been really hard to be away these last couple weeks, but it feels really good to be back. And another guy I missed, but I got to see you on Sunday at least, Mr. Kevin Ovdestead. Hey, Kev.
What's up, John? It is good to have you back, although I was worried momentarily there that you were going to bust into some T-Swift on us, and I wasn't ready for that.
Oh, yeah? I was going for more Leprechaun there, but if that's T-Swift,
okay.
If it's T-Swift for you, man, then, you know.
Leprechaun's great. Leave it. Forget I said anything.
Leprechaun over T-Swift. Noted. Disappointed, but noted. Oh, man. Well, it's good to be back. I'm happy to see you again. Unfortunately, I'm gone now that all, the chaos of the open beta is all gone, too. So there's, I don't know. I wanted to tell you guys about my open beta experience and stuff like that, but we'll get plenty of time to talk about my experiences in Overwatch. But yeah, well, let's talk about our weeks. What's been up with you guys? What have you been up to? Beta ended... When? Sunday? No, it was after that. Tuesday. Beta ended Tuesday. How was it for you guys? Yeah. Did you guys have a good time?
I had a really good time. I really enjoyed it, and it was fun to kind of see people relearning the game or learning the game for the first time, really. And it was just really nice to play with a much bigger player pool. So I'm really excited for launch now because of this, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. And the only concern I have is I hope the competitive mode or ranked mode comes out sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm super excited, and the game looks in great shape right now.
Does look really good. Oh man, that hurts so much to not have a competitive mode at launch. Not that I'm competitive anyway. Then I start thinking about it, I'm like, how competitive am I? It's kind of I really want Legend to be in the game of Hearthstone so I can get rank 5 every season. So yeah, it's a little bit like that.
The truth.
How about you, Kevin? How was it for you?
It was great. I mean, I didn't get a ton of time to play towards the end there just because where the beta fell lined up with 2 of the busiest weeks I've ever had in my job, and things have been a total disaster. I tried to sneak in a game here and there, just make sure that I got a chance to sort of say yeah, I touched the beta. It was good. I contributed my, minutes to the overall count, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But on the whole, the beta process was incredible. I was astonished. And I mean, I've played in plenty of Blizzard betas. I've played in plenty of non-Blizzard betas. I could not believe how smooth this whole testing process was. In the open beta, which was fundamentally a stress test, I didn't see a single instance where it felt like the game chugged or servers crashed. I didn't notice at all. So if there were server problems, either it was, specific to platform and I didn't notice it playing on PC or Xbox, or it just never happened. And if they made it a week of testing that with 10 million people touching it in that week and never once had a serious server hiccup, that's incredible.
That is pretty awesome. That's pretty amazing. I think that's a great segue. Let's talk about the news, and then we can talk about some stuff we learned, some information we gleaned from open beta.
This week in Overwatch.
All right, so this week in Overwatch, beta's gone, ended on Tuesday, as you learned about 3 minutes ago. And so here we are, back in Onlywatch. It's a lonely, lonely place, a dark place. Chat is all, I miss the game. I wish it was back here. We're all I wish it was back. But some pretty amazing stuff we learned about this beta. First, everyone put your pinky finger to your mouth. Overwatch had 9.7 million players. 9.7 million individual players, like individual accounts, right? Is that the right terminology? Kev, you always school me on the terminology piece. 9.7
it would be accounts, yeah.
I imagine there's a little bit of double dipping there because people like us, I think we played on both PC and console. So, but I imagine that's not a whole lot of that. So that's still,
and even if there is, even if it's 10%, like doesn't matter. That's still a huge number. It's still one of the biggest betas in the history of gaming.
Yeah, massive. And well, it was free, so everyone got to try it. And all I'm seeing on Twitter and Reddit right now is people were like, I wasn't really sure if I wanted Overwatch and if I wanted to spend $60 on a multiplayer only game with no story mode. And every single one of them was like, I'm getting this game. This is totally what sold me on the game. And Kev, to your point, Blizzard really nailed it with this beta. There was some like server stuff in the very, very, very beginning with like matchmaking times and stuff like that. And within an hour, 2 hours, it was all up to normal. And we're talking 9.7 million players. And what was it from the 3rd to the 9th? Players averaged 8 hours, right?
Yeah, that's the astonishing thing is, like, to Jimmy's point from earlier, if there was double dipping, that number actually goes higher. But the average account out of those 9.7 million accounts that touched the game was online for 8 hours in that week-long period, which is absurd when you think about it. Like, when you really stop and think about it, that means that there were probably lots of people who logged on and played for an hour just to try it out, sat in front of their console to see what it was because it was free on their Xbox dashboard or whatever. And there were people who probably sat and played 15, 20 hours just over the weekend because it was all they did. And that's incredible that this game has that much draw. To put that number in perspective, we were looking at some of the numbers because it's all anybody's talking about right now online, comparing it to other beta tests. And big betas for other games like Star Wars Battlefront had a comparable number of players that touched the game during its open beta, but they played an average of 2.8 hours. So Overwatch almost tripled the amount of raw time spent by players. And I think the Division was a smaller beta with an average of 1 hour per player that was put in by people during that beta. Now, granted, obviously, shorter beta window, not a one-to-one comparison. We're not trying to play statistics here. That's not what we're trying to do. But just the volume of time and energy that people put into this beta is off the charts. Like, the scale of how intense this beta was is really hard to describe without using those comparisons.
What Kevin's trying to say is get a life, guys. Dang, right? Get a freaking life. We know it's a great game. We get it. It's a good game. We're podcasting about it. Obviously, we love the game too, but 8 hours? Are you kidding me? That's huge. Jimmy, how many millions of hours of those were yours on your multiple accounts?
I was definitely below that average, I would say. I've just didn't get to play as much as I would have liked, but maybe I was close to 8. I don't know. I wasn't keeping track, but yeah, 8 hours average. That's insane. Like Kevin was saying, people probably logged on for an hour and we're like, okay, this is cool. I'm going to buy it and wait for it to come out. But other people put 10, 20, maybe even more hours into it to really hit that average higher than than that median of 8 hours, which is incredible. And just the thing also was I got to play with a lot more of my friends in the beta than I have in the past. So it was really fun to finally show them the game and really show how awesome this experience is. And it's been really fun.
We finally got to play with Zax, which was nice.
Yeah.
Zax is finally playing. Welcome.
Most definitely.
Hope you enjoyed the game, Zax. He was never in the beta the whole time, and he was so salty about it. We bother him all the time about it. It was really funny. So cool.
Also, everybody's chance to try the console versions, which I thought was pretty cool too, right? Like that was a big thing. And like Jimmy, you said you played it on PS4 a little.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, what did you think?
It's the same game. The controls are still something I'm going to have to get used to. Just it feels totally different from playing on PC, but I think it'll be a great experience for people who only have a console. I don't think it's a negative experience playing on console versus PC. I'm just used to PC, so that's what I'm comfortable with right now.
Fair enough.
I think if you had started on the console, maybe it would feel a little bit more natural, the controls, but playing Pharah definitely is like a really convoluted affair. You're like, what button does what? So it's just something that I either need to remap the buttons on and get used to, or just put in a little bit of practice into that.
Yeah, that'll be consistent, right? Like everyone will be working from that same place where they all have the same sensitivity limitations and button limitations and stuff. So it's just a question of, if you get comfortable with it, can you feel like you're competitive against other people who are playing within that same set of limitations?
Yeah, I was on Xbox One for the entirety of the beta when I was in Minnesota visiting my brother, and I really enjoyed it. I agree with you, Jimmy. It was a little weird because your abilities on Xbox are the bumpers. So right trigger and left trigger are like left click and right click. And then left bumper and right bumper are your ability 1 and 2. So it's kind of weird. You feel like there used to be a controller set up for Halo where you'd actually put one finger on each bumper and one finger on each trigger. So your pointer fingers would go on the bumpers and your middle fingers would go on the triggers. Or sometimes people would put both their middle finger and ring finger. And it was really kind of like a southpaw-y kind of way to hold your controller. And that's almost the default way to hold your controller for Overwatch, which I'm okay with, but it's really not the same as a traditional shooter at all for how you're kind of utilizing those buttons. But I don't have any complaints about it. And especially I don't have a way to make it better. Like those are where those abilities make the most sense. It was just it was really surprising me to see them located in that area. So
and the thing to keep in mind is you can remap the controls, and
Nope.
I think you can't.
You can. Yes, you can. I'm just too lazy to do so.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It's like,
oh wow!
I just wanted to assure
Jimmy
everyone
into
listening.
full panic mode.
I wanted to assure everyone listening that you can remap the controls if it's not something you like.
Don't be lazy like John. Remap your buttons. Also, one thing I also heard through the grapevine in some private channels was the Overwatch beta was actually so substantial. It took Overwatch back to, I think, 3rd on Twitch for most of the time that the beta was on, and actually had a pretty obvious effect on concurrent online users on basically every other major streamed title except for Dota. Like everything took a hit because everyone was playing Overwatch, which makes sense when you figure that if 10 million people played the game, a lot of people were doing that in lieu of something else.
That's amazing to me, just because it's like it's an open beta. You're able to play it. You don't have to put any money to get into it, but there was enough people still willing to just watch people play it that it brought it to that spot on Twitch, which that amazes me. And kind of to that degree, going on a little bit of a tangent, I know Ghosty Gamers had their tournament recently, and they hit like 14,000 for a game that's in beta is a pretty good sign of things to come for Overwatch esports.
Yeah, I think the demand for this game is just, it outpaced what I expected, and that's saying a lot, because I'll be the first person to champion Blizzard products well past what most people are willing to say positively about them. Like, I'll go way off the deep end and be like, oh yeah, this is the best shooter ever made of all time. Everyone should own it in triplicate, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm that guy. And I'm still blown away by the amount of support this game is getting publicly. Like, I thought it would be kind of niche. It wouldn't appeal to people. A lot of people would maybe be sanctimonious about, no, it's never going to be better than TF2, blah, blah, blah. And like, no, everybody I talk to is like, this is going to be my new GoldenEye, my new TF2, my new Tribes, my new Halo. Like, it's something to everybody in such an incredible fashion. And the negative feedback you read is mostly people who just haven't had enough time to play the game. And that's the source of their complaints. I just didn't get to play enough to come to a like solid conclusion or learn the mechanics well enough to feel good about them.
And I think on that point as well, the thing about Overwatch is you see the trailers, you see the gameplay, and you're like, okay, that looks cool. But once you get started playing it, you peel away those front layers of the game and see how deep it is and how enjoyable it is. And as the more you play, the deeper the game gets, and just it just gets really enjoyable the more you play it, I feel like. And I think that was part of the strategy.
You're getting emotional, man. Just take a second. It's okay.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's part of the strategy, obviously, of Blizzard having this open beta, was they wanted people to play it and be able to experience it. And I think it was really a great strategy to just open the entire game for them and let you play absolutely everything in the game that it has to offer at launch.
Now, you brought up something that we need to talk about as well, which is trailers. So we know that the trailer situation with Overwatch is incredible. Everything that Blizzard's cinematics and animation department have put out for this game has been totally top shelf, Pixar quality, next level. I don't understand, frankly, how they're making it as good as they are. It just boggles my mind. But we know that there's going to be 2 new digital shorts that are going to feature Hanzo and Genji, as well as Soldier 76. Those are the next 2 that are coming out right away. And that's going to be all the part of the overall trailer package that's going to be out right away here as well. There's also the 4th comic just came out as well. Symmetra's comic released hours before we started recording. So tons of new non-game Overwatch content right away here. Guys, what are you excited for? What did you think of the comic? Let's start there, John.
All right, you want to talk about the comic? Let's talk about the comic. I didn't love it, but I loved it. The way that I would say it is this. I like Symmetra more now. It was a cool little story, and it was the thing I didn't like about it. It was more about the world than it was about Symmetra. It was more about what's going on outside of, what Symmetra is or who she is, and it's more about what kind of is going on in the world and why Symmetra is a hero in Overwatch. And so that part I didn't love. Everything else, though, I loved it. I thought the art was great. I really love the way that they portrayed Symmetra. She's really she's the star, kind of the star. I don't even know. Is it like an architect? I guess, would you say she's like a star architect type thing? And so absolutely amazing. I thought it was really well done. I love the digital shorts. It wasn't, I think it was my version of Kevin's Reinhardt, where I just wanted a little bit more. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm the same as you, John. I think it was the least of the 4 that I've liked so far, but it was interesting that they had Symmetra kind of having a dual role in this versus how kind of the other 3, they were their personas. She was this political persona, and then on outside of that, she turned into Symmetra. She put on the suits for Symmetra and started doing all that stuff. So it was good, but it it wasn't my favorite, to say the least. I think, to be the nicest about it. I mean, the art was great, and it showed just a bit of her character. And yeah, like you, John, just want more character exposition.
John already called me out on my feelings on the Reinhardt one and just not feeling like there was enough of his story told. I'm going to actually dial that back a touch and say, now that I've seen this one and now that I've seen kind of the direction they're going with the whole set, I honestly think that if you piece them together, right, and see each of them as kind of a small chapter of a broader story, you are actually going to get a good sense of the world, right? So we know more about what the situation is in the era that, sort of predates Overwatch getting back together. You're learning a lot about not necessarily each individual character, but where they come from, what's happening, why. We're getting kind of the broader sense of how the world is all interconnected and what's making Overwatch have to come back together and why we're in the position we're in. A lot of that has very little bearing on the game, obviously, but I feel like the interconnection between them will actually tell a really good story. And if you were to read all of them when they're all done, or however many of these there end up being, kind of all as a broader thing, I think you'll actually find it's a pretty good complete package. Whereas maybe these individual pieces are kind of I get one little slice and I'm like, nah, that wasn't enough. But as they all start to come together, you'll look back and go, oh, okay, wait, no. Now I'm starting to get a sense for why things are the way they are. It's all going to come full circle, and we're just not there yet. And I trust Blizzard to execute on that.
Well, that's the thing too. As a comic, I thought it was great. As a Symmetra comic, I think it was meh. Like it was, kind of okay. There wasn't like any real deep. With Reinhardt, at least you had some of the cool thing where Patrick last week kind of talked about. The one pane with the dragons and it all goes medieval and then comes back, or you have him leaning over his, leaning, down, huge muscles, gray hair, gray beard, and you've got him leaning over after getting beat up and deciding if I'm going to put on this old armor again and, get back into it type of thing versus, Symmetra, it was, she's really cool. I think her character is really cool, but I want to know more about that. I want to know more why she's a super genius and why she's going around sneaking around at night and breaking into these buildings. And I want to know why she's doing that, not just because, I'm going to put on my magical Symmetra uniform now and this guy over the radio is going to tell me what I'm doing and I'm part of this other group apparently. And I don't know. I wasn't wowed by that story, I guess, is all I would say. But I still felt like the overall story that I told was great, but I felt like I learned more about the city where she's from or where she's working, whatever, she's doing, more than I learned about her herself. So that's all I would say. Great. I'll make sure to edit that silence out.
I agree too.
All right, so here is one thing, though. I do know we were just talking about the digital shorts, and I want to go back really quick because Coca-Cola and Overwatch are actually teaming up here to bring us a cinematic adventure on May 22nd, where you can come and see all the... May 22nd, right? Yeah, May 22nd. You can come see all the Overwatch shorts, the cinematics, and I think they said the hero videos as well. Something like that. There's something else in there that they're going to be doing. And they're going to be doing streaming a dev panel. And there's going to be Overwatch swag. And so today was the last day, I believe, to get a theater reserved. So sorry if you were counting on us to let you know when to do that. But my theater is sold out here and we do Well Met that night, so I won't get to be able to do that. I think JR is going, though, lucky JR. And yeah, it's going to be pretty sweet. I think this is really cool. I'm really excited about the ability to go out and meet, there's 220 people who have reserved a spot at the only theater in Colorado that can support this. 220 people signed up and sold out in under 6 hours. And I think that's pretty amazing. I wish I could be there. Jimmy, I have to assume that you're going to be there, right?
Absolutely. There's a theater actually 10 minutes from me that had
I hate you.
The tickets for it. I know you hate me.
I was going to say, do you want to sub in on Well Met on Sunday?
Why not? I'll just talk about the brawl that was this week.
Right. Amazing.
But yeah, I was a little worried that the theater that's near us wasn't going to make it because I think it was yesterday. It was at about 70 or 80 tickets, and you need 100 to lock in the event or whatever. And then all of a sudden, it's completely sold out. I mean, we bought our tickets the first day that I found out about this, but so yeah, I'm starting to wonder. Maybe my theory is that the LA one sold out pretty early, so I'm wondering if people from that area are starting to. They're like, okay, that one's an hour away. We can do that one too, anyway. So I'm wondering if a lot of people are coming from a little further away because of the Los Angeles one getting sold out. But yeah, like you said, it's going to be a really fun night. I'm super excited to see the cinematics on the big screen, and it's going to be great.
Boom. There it is. Jimmy, you know what you should wear to this whole thing? You should wear some of that new Jinx gear. You really should.
I need to order some.
Really? we're gonna skip right over my complaint that there isn't one of these within 1,000 miles of me.
It's Canada. You got to be used to this.
No, I'm so used to it. It
I'm
hurts.
sorry.
There's 2 in Canada. They're in like Toronto and area.
Yeah.
Maybe Ottawa. I don't remember, but yeah, they're way down east.
Yeah. Sorry, dude.
Boo.
Boo. You have a podcast to do anyway.
I do. You're right. I got to sit and talk about how annoying the current Hearthstone meta is instead.
Yeah. Right. That's so true. But okay, so I went ham on this new Jinx stuff. By the way, I got 3 t-shirts and a hoodie. I'm wearing my Reinhardt one right now.
Yeah, I was
think it
about to
looks
say,
pretty
I
sweet.
see that t-shirt there.
Looks pretty sweet, I think. And then here's a cool thing. For some reason, one of my shirts didn't get shipped from Jinx, my Soldier 76 one. So I called them up and I was just like, hey, there wasn't one of my shirts in here. And they're like, oh, we're sorry. Here, we're going to next day it to you. And then click the button, and that was it. They didn't ask me for anything except my order number. And they're like, oh, yep, sorry, bye. So that was pretty sweet. So you can definitely count on sweet customer service with them because that was kind of dope. No questions asked. But I love, you guys know this. I love t-shirts. I love hoodies. I love things that I can wear, probably to a fault. And I think this stuff is really cool. So you guys should definitely go check out the new Jinx stuff here. Have either of you guys ordered anything from Jinx, or are you just waiting on it?
Not out of this particular set. I mean, I own tons of Jinx stuff. I've owned tons of Jinx stuff over the years, but I'm kind of in a place where I don't really need a whole pile more gaming t-shirts right this second. And I was really hoping that they'd do a broader spread. I'm sure they will eventually, of just other non-t-shirt stuff. I would love to hear if anybody bought the hoodie, what they think of the hoodie.
I bought it.
Did you wear it? What'd you think?
I wore it. I liked it. Wash it first because...
Well, yes, that's what you do with clothes.
No, you don't. You don't have to wash it first. No, not at all. That's
John's
silly.
mom, can you call John and
That
let
is
him know?
silly. I'm not even gonna do it. But I didn't. The only reason why I say wash it first is because it gets the inside of it, gets a little puffy. You get little puffs all over your shirt.
Pills, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the only thing. But besides that, loved it. Fits great. And I would say they were sized a little small for me. So like the hoodie was normally like hoodies and sweatshirts in the same size fit a little bit bigger. In this case, they fit a little bit smaller and more slim. So just keep that in mind. If you're right in between sizes, I would go larger, not smaller.
Too. Yeah, fair enough. I kind of was hoping that they might also put out some of the accessory stuff, like the hat. I would love to get in not a snapback. If anyone out there will make me
I know
not a snapback, I will buy it. I'll buy 3.
I need a new era or a 50-50 hat where there's just not the snapback. I know my hair looks really cool in it right now, just kind of dipping out. But come on, man, give me my fitted hats. I love fitted hats. Sorry, rant over.
No, I'm the same way. I'm a fitted hat person, even though I got the
We're wearing the same
here.
one right now.
I think so, yeah.
I couldn't do it.
I got it. I like it. It's still great. Katie likes it too. It's my favorite hat that I have.
There you go.
It's her favorite hat that I wear.
But yeah, I'm in the same boat as Kevin. I really need about -20 gamer t-shirts.
See, I'm the opposite way. Like I don't have a lot of gamer gear. I have a couple jerseys and then a couple Hearthstone shirts and then a couple hats. So I have I think 7 or 8 things total. This brings me up to 12.
I have a separate closet. My office closet is just my gaming apparel closet. It's bad. I have a problem.
Well, just, you just got to cycle out the old stuff.
I have.
For the new stuff.
Yep. I know.
That's what you got to do. All right. Yeah. Holy crap. We have gone through. So, okay. I got one here. So, Dragons. This was finally announced today. And we touched on it a little bit that we're getting 2 more digital shorts. Well, we think we are. Did they confirm one for Soldier 76? Or are we just assuming that...
Yes, that's the one that's going to premiere at the movie theater event.
Yeah, it's for sure coming. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I didn't see that anywhere, so that's news to me. But dragons, we are getting the one with Genji and Hanzo going head to head. And honestly, I have a complete bias. It's when I want to go back and talk about this. I have a complete bias for this storyline. I think it is the coolest, most intriguing storyline in the game. And I am so freaking excited for this trailer. I actually got someone to switch with me at work so that I could watch it live. That's how excited I am about this short. Is that nerdy? Is that bad or is that amazing?
I think it's legit. I mean, before they actually formally announced Genji and added him to the game, all the speculation was who's Green Ninja Robot Dude, and it was all over the place. He was on the posters, he was in all the like initial character images. People were just super excited about him. When they finally came through and we learned that he was Hanzo's brother, like it's definitely one of the most intriguing pairs of characters in the game. Like there's lots of other characters who have relationships like that, not familial, but like where there's two characters that are very clearly very heavily intertwined, but nothing like this one. Like this is definitely the most interesting of the like one-to-one character relationships in my mind, at least.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think the Tracer and Winston one is it's cute, you know, because like Tracer or Winston basically saved Tracer and pulled her out of her ability to not stay in the present time, and I think that's kind of cool. But you're totally right. Like nothing meshes on this level of like rivalry and intrigue and these things that really make a great story great. So, you know, I'm all about it. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait. We'll for sure have a review for you next week on what we thought on it. But even in the announcement trailer for the Coca-Cola event, they actually pulled a couple pieces from these unreleased trailers, and the animation looked so amazing in both of these. Like I want like a wallpaper of Hanzo just shooting his arrow where he looks right and you're looking right down his arrow shaft back at him. And just amazing. I don't know how that Overwatch cinematic team is doing it right now, but they are completely killing it in every freaking category right now. It's so amazing. So, yeah. All right. Let's talk game stuff. So, we did get a blue post this last week that was pretty interesting. We found out a little bit more about some of the open beta statistics that we were seeing for Overwatch for their assault. And basically what we found is this. So for Temple of Anubis, attackers win 48.9% of the time. Defenders win 51.1%. In Hanamura, attackers win 48.8%, where defenders win 51.2%. And for Volskaya Industries, attackers win 46.5, defenders win 53.5. So overall, not too bad. Like Temple of Anubis is really close to 50-50. And Hanamura is not far off of that either. Those two are almost exactly. But Volskaya Industries is a little bit less. And I was curious, especially for Volskaya Industries, I was wondering, why do you guys think it is that defenders have an easier time winning on that map? Kev, I'm sure you have some good insight to this one.
None of this comes as a surprise, but I mean, if you go back and you look at the first conversations we had about maps and attacker-defender advantage back when Blizzard was still working on balance changes really actively during the closed beta, we saw exactly this, right? They said point blank that defenders tended to have a fairly substantial advantage at the lower skill levels, and that as the skill level increased, it started to swing back in favor of the attackers because coordination tended to rise as you went up the sort of skill balance ladder. Nothing has changed. That's still the exact same thing. The overall, like close to 50-50, I think is honestly basically a reflection of that almost to a T. The swing of like 2% on Volskaya, I'm having a hard time thinking of if there's like a particular part of that map that would make it that way. Like maybe the attackers starting escape, like getting out the
second
gate there.
part of it. I think it's the second part, that second capture point, because there's so many different vantage points, right? You've got this square platform that you're trying to capture with a little circle thing in the middle, but there's literally then straight ahead, there's a hallway and a balcony. To the right, there's a hallway. I don't think there's a balcony on that one, but then to the left, there's a hallway and you can be on those little moving pads. And I think and it's really close to the spawn point too. And so I think people have trouble taking out the defenders because there are so many quick places where you can duck and ride, and you can have like 2 or 3 people in multiple places. And I think that's gotta be it, because that first capture point is super easy for any sort of coordinated team. You're right. There might be some bottleneck right out the door, but you know,
I would be curious too, to your point though, to see if Blizzard went back and went through those numbers and said, if we discount games decided in overtime, what does this number look like? Because I bet you that, to your point, like the defender's advantage on that map, because of the like very, very short travel distance back to get into the action there on that second point, maybe that's a factor. Like maybe it's a lot of games that are decided because the attacking team just can't close it out. And if defenders can force overtime, it's not as hard for them to win if they just push everybody off. That who knows, right? Like I don't know if that would be enough to swing it by a percentage point and put it back in line with the other maps, but that could be a factor. It's just either way, when you're trying to balance something 50-50, to get to 53-5 and 46-5 is pretty good. Like I know that with Blizzard, they would love to see that number get obviously closer, but at some point, if they try to tweak something even minor, they're going to swing it too far the other way. Like you're already on the razor's edge when you're that close.
Yeah, most definitely. I kind of want to take it back to the Temple of Anubis, because I think earlier on they released some data, and I think I remember defenders having a pretty a little bit of a higher percentage than 51%.
One of the maps they had to change.
Yeah, because they changed that left side on that the B point. You can now go over there now. So there's like 3 different paths now that you can really take advantage of an attack on. And on that left side as well is that little entrance into the back, that kind of corridor. And so that's a whole nother way to do that, because you used to have to just go through the middle, then take a left.
Do you remember playing on the old school temple? The original temple? It was like you have to either climb the wall or walk through that little teeny doorway, and everybody just parked like 2 bastions,
or the little hallway on the right.
It didn't matter. Like that wasn't a factor at all.
It was it brought you right through.
One Widowmaker just destroys you.
Yeah,
like one Widowmaker could just pick off the whole team as they came over that. It was awful.
Basically, you had to run 2 Reinhardts through that first door to get enough of the team in, and then it was just a mess.
And then you needed like displacement effects.
Yeah,
it was bad.
I feel like Voskaya Industries almost has that same problem. I mean, there's like 3 ways to get into that last point, but 2 of them end up right in front of the capture point, where the defense is just going to be sitting there the whole time. The other one comes around the corner, and defensive teams know about that corner pretty early on. So it's just a relatively tough.
Maybe they have to open up that right side. You know, there's that door with that health pack. Maybe they just make that like a hallway right through.
I mean, this is the skill gap problem, right? Like the defending team is almost always going to be the one that has less mobility. The attackers can get in there, manipulate that room, get in behind people. Like I don't think there's a balance problem there at all. I think this is 100% indicative of the skill gap. And that if you look at the stats on the low end, it's probably heavily slanted towards defenders. And as soon as you get up into like, you know, your top 20% of players, it swings absolutely the other way. Because a coordinated team can just blow through that space and get in there. And like you got people climbing the walls, getting into people's faces, sneaking around behind the defending positions. There's no way it's a factor at the high levels. And like they're probably not releasing numbers that show that stuff, because I know that one of the like touchy subjects, and I don't think we have time to get into it tonight, but one of these days we will definitely hit the like low skill defenders advantage problem, right? And everybody freaking out about bastions and Torbjorns and all that stuff. Like it's a hot topic. We're gonna come back to it eventually, but that's probably what it is, and they probably don't want to emphasize that any more than the game already does, because everyone's already like, how do I get past some kind of bastion parked in the back, whatever. And like there's a really good GIF making the rounds of the official Play Overwatch account responding to like 100 different people with the exact same recommendation. Right. and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing.
There's like 3 variations of the response. So it's like just literally copy pasted. But like, I don't know if they alternate it or something like that. If they just got a script set up for every time it says like help Bastion and like bull crap or something like that. Like they're like, oh, you should probably play as Hanzo.
Some, like super sad social media intern who's just sitting there being like, I really wanted to work at Blizzard Entertainment, but I didn't think my entire life was going to be sending the same 3 tweets. He
actually has some keybind. He has a Razer Naga, and he just keybinds just number like 1, number 2, number 3. Yep, that's exactly how he does it. Oh man, that's funny.
Dear Play Overwatch social media team, we're really sorry. You guys do a phenomenal job. Don't listen to us.
So good.
That's funny. All right. Let's talk about this last thing before we jump into emails. So, Deviant Art and Overwatch went ahead and partnered up this last week for some cool art stuff. So it's called the 21 Days of Overwatch. And basically what they did is each day is dedicated to a different hero. And there's just some amazing, no pun intended, art going on with all these different heroes and all these different characters. And yeah, it's really good stuff. This is kind of more than anything, we want you guys to go ahead and check it out. If you want some, good mobile or desktop wallpapers and things like that, and you want them Overwatch themed, this is where I would start with some of this art from. Grab the art about your favorite hero or two and throw them on the background of your phone or print it out. I don't know if you can print it out in high enough quality, but do something with it because it's really freaking good stuff, And yeah, that's all I had to say. I don't think there's really much we have to talk more about that unless there's something you guys wanted to add.
I had forgotten about this, so thank you guys for reminding me. It's such great art, and yeah, I'm looking at the Farah one right now, and it's just gorgeous. All the art's gorgeous,
just amazing.
Go check it out.
You people who can do art. Number 1, I hate your talent, and I love your talent. And number 2, call me because I'm looking for an artist for some stuff. So yeah,
I was just curious if you guys had a favorite. So I'm not gonna ask Jimmy because Jimmy clearly doesn't know. It's Jimmy's first day. But John, do you have a favorite of the ones that are out so far?
Oh man, right now I have the McCree one as my background. I don't know how well you can see it there. I have to show it on the other camera, but I've got the McCree one, which I thought was pretty amazing. And so I'm a fan of the McCree one. It's like him and all these explosions, and he's super Clint Eastwood, and really, really looking awesome. So that's going to be my favorite. What about yours, Kev?
Honestly, I love the Zenyatta one from today. Like, I'm a huge sucker for that really like high definition vector style digital art. I'm kind of tempted to contact the guy and see if he has a version of it that doesn't have the background, because that is absolutely something that I would love to like talk to the guy about, buying the rights to get a version of that doesn't have the yellow and like reprint that to put up somewhere, like just as a little framed piece in like my office, because it's so good.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about Con Before the Storm at BlizzCon is if you can go to like the art gallery. They do like a giant art display with like the most amazing art, and then you can just text a number and they give it away. It's just it's so cool. I love that type of art. If like there's one thing that I want to get this year is a lot more cool framed gaming prints, like this stuff that people are drawing for Overwatch. It's really, really good. So, yeah. All
Legit.
Right. I think we got an email this week, and this is kind of weird. I know we had to resuscitate Kev. It was nasty. Jimmy had to do mouth to mouth. It was not the most attractive scene, but
I don't remember this.
I'm just kidding. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and talk about this email. Jimmy, I'll let you take it away.
Alrighty. Hello, Payload pushers. So we are once again between play sessions and with news posts, ads, comics, movie shorts, big screen premieres, biggest beta ever, Uber cards, and drivers. What else could make this game even bigger? Who doesn't know about Overwatch, and how would you reach them? As always, enjoy the shows Blizzpro puts together for my watching and listening pleasure. Have a beautiful Blizzard day, Lance. Thank you so much, Lance, for sending that in.
Spaceships.
Yep.
Spaceships.
Yep.
Like a big satellite. It's just an Overwatch logo the size of the moon and just goes across the whole world. And then you can see where it is and look up at the sky and just see a giant Overwatch spaceship. That's my choice right there.
I like it. I mean, I think if you're going to go that route, you'd be better served to just project the Overwatch logo on the moon. I think that would be more cost efficient.
Nope.
Realistically.
It's not as cool.
It's totally as
and you
cool.
only can do
shut
it.
Your mouth.
You only can do it a couple nights. You only get to see it like one night every 28 days.
I don't think you know how the moon works.
I mean, in here, I only get to see it one night every 28 days.
Okay. Enough moon talk. Real talk. I think what's actually going to be the biggest factor for Overwatch that isn't already in play right now is actually the non-game content. I think the franchise has a lot of room to grow and be really accessible to people because right now it's still like fundamentally it's just a Blizzard property and a Blizzard game, and you can now buy some like very specific types of merchandise from Blizzard and a handful of Blizzard partners. When there's comic books that are on shelves in comic book stores, when there's digital shorts that people are linking to their friends all over the internet, or heaven forbid, maybe getting played as trailers before, major movies, this thing that's going on in theaters is still kind of targeted towards very specifically people who are already Overwatch fans. It's not designed to kind of like increase the fold. I absolutely 100% believe that if you put Overwatch merch, right? Collectibles, figurines, plush toys, stuff like that out into the broader world, not just stuff I can order off the Blizzard Gear store, there's a ton of people who would be exposed to the franchise, and the franchise has a lot of pull. Even for people who don't necessarily maybe end up playing the game, you could actually build a fan base of people who are just interested in the Overwatch world, right? And the Overwatch world is, I think in a lot of ways, maybe the most compelling that Blizzard has ever made. For a lot of people, it was hard to identify with early Blizzard games because it was all orcs versus humans or, the StarCraft races. It was pretty heavily dominated by male characters for a very long time. The Diablo universe didn't do a lot to mix that up because the characters were kind of nameless and didn't do a really great job of making you feel like the most memorable characters in the Diablo universe were the demonic villains. They were the ones that everybody, oh yeah, I remember Mephisto, I remember Bale. They didn't think, oh yeah, I remember the name of that female Amazon. Like it's very driven by the lore characters, and the lore characters in Blizzard's games have always kind of swung the other way. Whereas in Overwatch, the big memorable characters are very diverse. They're from the real world. Like people can look at those characters and think, I can dress up as that character. When I look at Diablo, I don't think, oh yeah, I'm going to make a Diablo costume for Halloween. Like I look at that and go, that's incredible. Some artist has a lot of talent and I can't do anything with it. Whereas I look at like McCree and think, okay, yeah, I mean, I got to get a custom belt buckle, but I can totally do that. Bolt buckle. It's a very memorable universe full of very memorable characters. It's the most diverse franchise of any gaming world that I can think of off the top of my head, where it's not just a create your own character, where it's actually like, no, these characters have names and backstories and history. They're not just FemShep74. Like I'm super excited about this world, and I think the world is going to be what sells people on Overwatch. The game, the movie, the comic, the whatever it ends up being, because this is going to be bigger than just the game.
I think Halo did it backwards. I think if they would go back and do it again, they would have brought the red versus blue, the shorts, the TV shows, the movies alongside the games. And I think they would have been a lot more successful. So that's all I wanted to add to that, because I thought that was a really good point.
I mean, Blizzard as a studio definitely is trying to knock it out of the park with non-game content now. And I don't know that the other franchises can do it as well. Like, there's not a lot of room left to go with, StarCraft or Diablo. Warcraft's getting the movie. They've done what they can, I think, with the Warcraft world in that respect. Overwatch is brand new territory and just speaks to people in a new way.
Well, sorry, go, Jimmy, go.
Jimmy, get a word in edgewise.
I really think a TV show would do so much for this franchise and really expand it. And like you said, Kevin, just getting people interested in the universe, even if they don't necessarily play, it's that brand awareness. It's getting that out there for people to be exposed to. And I think the thing that Blizzard is doing really well, and this is something I really didn't think about at first, but it really prompts from kind of a just primal mental standpoint. The URL for Overwatch is playoverwatch.com. And that from the get-go implies that you're going to be doing something with this, whatever this is. You see a Winston plushie at Toys R Us or something like that, and you see playoverwatch.com on it. What's that? And then you're hooked into it. And so I think that's really cool. And I think a TV show would be like the next big step for Blizzard to really expand Overwatch outside of really the traditional gaming genre of people's.
And it's not just the gaming genre, right? Like the point I was really trying to drive at is that Blizzard's other franchises are all locked up in the Blizzard world. If I want something to do with one of Blizzard's other games, I have to already buy it through a Blizzard specific channel. I have to download the Battle.net client. I have to buy gear from the Blizzard gear store. I have to be aware of the Blizzard properties within the scope of what Blizzard does, which traditionally has been make games. There's definitely an opportunity here with Overwatch to build something bigger than that. And if it can get outside of Blizzard's traditional channels and start to reach people who are like, oh yeah, okay, I'm, turning on Netflix and there's a string of Blizzard animated shorts that I can watch on my Netflix account. Cool. That's neat. I would never have expected that. And someone who's got no exposure to Blizzard or games of any kind would still be like, oh, that's kind of neat. What's that? And throw it on, because what's 20 minutes of their time with Netflix running in the background? People are doing that all the time. That's an opportunity for Blizzard to just tap this enormous demographic of, I can't talk, guys. I quit. Demographic.
You're doing great.
An enormous demographic of people who have zero exposure to anything Blizzard related up to this point, and with something that's going to speak to them very specifically. Like, I don't know. I want to believe the Warcraft movie is going to be an enormous success, but I think you've kind of got this narrow group of people, right? You have to be a fantasy fan. You have to be, interested in the concept of Warcraft. You have to not have been turned off by the game or the company or fantasy as a whole. Like, there's all these things working against you. Overwatch, like, what would push you away from it? I don't think there's any stigma. I don't think there's any preconceived notions of what Overwatch is or is not. And I honestly believe if you loaded a bunch of digital shorts up and left them on Netflix, if you put a bunch of comics out and dropped them in my corner comic book store where all the 15-year-old kids are going when they get out of school to go buy new stuff, like, that's crazy great opportunity to touch people who just don't otherwise interact with Blizzard in any capacity.
I think the thing that I really want to add to that is I think that we are finally at a point where just being a video game, people want so much more. Like, let's just be honest. If we've all had that moment where we're like totally engrossed into a video game or into a world, and the only way to like sate that is to play, right? The only way to do that is to go back in and play that, or like go read subreddits, or go watch some YouTube videos. But to be able to say, cool, we've got TV shows, we've got movies, we've got shorts and comic books and clothing and all these different types of things that you can get involved in. I really do think that really sucks people into an investment into the world and the ecosystem. And I think people want more from their games. Like, I think, yes, I want a great game, but I want a way that I can, touch it, and a way that I can interact with it, and the way that I can, do more than just, okay, well, if I want to do something Hearthstone related, I have to go load up the client or put on a Twitch stream. Whereas with Overwatch, I can sit down with Katie and we can watch the shorts or read a comic together, or go to a movie theater with 220 super excited people about a game and watch shorts and get these dev interviews and Blizzard swag. And like, that's where gaming's going. That's where, in the future, when people, are talking about what makes games successful, and in my opinion, what they're going to say made Overwatch super successful, in my opinion, really pioneering what it means to be, an entire multimedia ecosystem around a game that makes you want to come back and play the game while you have all this other supplemental material outside of you. And I think that's absolutely amazing. I think Blizzard is brilliant for thinking of it. Not that they're necessarily the first, but as far as I can tell, they're the first to really think about it in this way, where honestly, we saw shorts before we saw the game. And then most people, saw the actual digital shorts before they saw the game. And we've been getting, the story and all these things before we saw the game. And then we're going to continue to get these things alongside of the game. No campaign, all multiplayer, all kind of this. It's just, I think it's absolutely brilliant, and job well done. And
and this is one of the places where Blizzard has been really successful with all of their recent endeavors, right? Is the game has such a kind of unique personality. Hearthstone took the concept of playing card games, which has traditionally been very like serious face, hardcore, the art's all scary and skeletal and deathly, and was like, what if it was just hilarious? What if everything was just cool and funny and kitschy and random and neat? And it got explosive responses from people because there was just so much that made it different, that made it new, that made it exciting. Overwatch is the same way. It's not like the characters in Team Fortress weren't interesting. It's not like playing Left 4 Dead or Counter-Strike or Halo or Call of Duty or whatever else wasn't fun. But this is a universe that doesn't take itself quite that seriously, where it's a little bit more upbeat. It's a little bit novel. Things are a little different. And the story can still have dark moments. The story can still go through the motions of telling you about crises and death and sadness and everything else. But the world fundamentally has just so much personality. It's so much larger than life. And it's in a way that really is very inspiring. You watch the shorts, you watch the movies, you read the comics, and you think, yeah, this is cool. I'm so excited about the concept of what Overwatch is, what it means, where the world could be headed if this works out. Like, I love what they're trying to do. And I do honestly believe, like, I could write an essay, I could write a novel on how I think Overwatch is going to be a huge turning point for diversity in games as a whole. And that's something that's going to sell boxes of the game, but it's going to sell people on the universe. It's going to sell people on Blizzard as a studio. That's big.
It's really weird thinking that Overwatch probably in the future won't be making I would say a chunk of its money won't be coming from the actual game. Well, it still is one of the world's most popular games, just from all their merch and whatever, movies, TV shows, ads, stuff like that. I've been to Taco Bell 5 times this last week because I want those headphones so bad. But sorry, that's another thing. Keep doing those giveaways, kind of. Make me buy unhealthy food. I really appreciate it, Overwatch team. Thanks a lot. Trying to get in shape. After the gym, I'm going to go down to Taco Bell, but I'm only going to get some of the Cinnabon bites, That's the way I'm doing it. All right, we got to get out of here. It's been a fun show. This has been a lot of fun. Jimmy, how you feeling? You feeling all right?
I'm good. I'm happy to be back with the crew here. We're all together. It's awesome. It's been fun.
A Death Star, yes. Sorry, I saw Death Star in chat and I just switched over. It's good to be back. This was a fun show. Kev, on point as always. It was an absolute blast. What are you up to this next week?
Things are crazy. I've got a ton of stuff going on with work. I'm actually going to be, this time next week, I'll be having recently landed in New York to drive to Connecticut to go to a meeting so that I can drive back and spend a couple days in New York. Cool. Esports life. Yeah, stuff's crazy. But before that, hopefully, if things go to plan, there will be time for some streams. So anybody who wants to check that out, I'll be streaming at twitch.tv/OdinTV, Odin with 2 N's. This week, it'll be probably a whole bunch of Heroes of the Storm because Hearthstone is pissing me off. If you want to learn more about that, come hang with us on Sunday while we beak the Hearthstone meta on Well Met.
Nice.
That's funny because this weekend I'm actually hosting my first ever fireside gatherings nearby at a comic shop near me. So that'll be a lot of fun and probably playing a bunch of heroes in the meantime and continuing to play that wonderfully silly tavern brawl this week. I really love it. I'm sorry, but it's
that was
so much
super
fun.
good. Yeah.
This is the type of deck building tavern brawl I can get behind. I really hate the deck building tavern brawls, but if you could say, John, just pick 2 cards and see what happens, I'm all about it. Jimmy, anything else this week? No?
Not just the usual stuff, all the heroes content I do Tuesday and Wednesday, and that's pretty much it. Keeping myself busy.
Nice. Well, as for me, streaming, I'm done with my semester, so I'm totally back. If you are watching the video show, you'll notice we've got a new layout and stuff and a new look. I hope you guys like it. I spent a lot of time on that, but I'm also streaming as well, so I typically stream Monday nights and then usually Friday or Saturday, and then whenever I can in between. So twitch.tv/kicktripod. And yeah, if you guys like the show, we'd love to read your 5-star iTunes reviews on the air, so you can always hop on over to iTunes and give us a review there. And we're also on the new Google Podcast. You can't leave a review there, but if you're an Android purist and want to keep it all in kind of one app, you can do so with Google Podcasts. All right, well, you can find more Overwatch stuff throughout the week at overwatch.blizzpro.com, and our music is awesome. Check out Who Made It at jakebutineau.ca. Our logo is done by Scythe Designs or Dread Scythe of scythedesigns.com. Find us on Twitter at Payload Podcast. Email us at thepayload@blizzpro.com. Send us your iTunes reviews, and of course, find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and Google Podcasts. I think that's going to about do it for us. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for episode number 22, and we will see you next week. Oh yeah, and we will have a big cool announcement coming up next week, so double make sure to be there next week, and we'll see you then. All right, bye-bye.
The Payload is a production of BlizzPro. Find out more about Overwatch at overwatch.blizzpro.com. You can find your hosts throughout the week on social media. Find Jimmy on Twitter at DJ Tyrant, Kevin on Twitter at Lack of Realism, and John on Twitter at Kicked Tripod.